Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live here from Precision Golf in the UK. We do this every week. Simon and I take your questions on everything golf, from equipment to golf coaching to general questions about the game. It's always an interesting one because we always get lots of questions. So we're going to get straight into it tonight. We're not going to pontificate over the world of golf. Let's get straight into it. We've got two iPads with us. We've got the Precision Golf one and we've got the Good Golf Coaching one, whichever you're watching this stream through. So fire over your questions as early as you'd like, and then we can make sure we can get those answered. Busy weekend for you. You were playing some golf. You were out there playing today, actually.
Yeah, I had one of the auctions. We do an auction every year around our golf day, and a chap from Germany and the States over to play St George's Hill with me that they bid on last year. So that was wet, but it was it's a long slog in this sort of weather, but it's always nice being out there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get straight in then. Alistair Cuthbertson, a regular on the channel. Great to have you with us this evening. Is the BGT Stability Tour putter shaft worth the upcharge cost?
It's a difficult one. The principle is that the rigidity of the graphites, whether it's the BGT shaft or the LA shafts, the Acura do one, Mitsubishi do one. The theory is that the rotational stiffness means less twisting at impact and better start lines. The reality is that it's incredibly small. Paul Harrion with the Quintic has tested it, and actually you're looking at its minimal differences. Technically there is a benefit, but it is small, so it's a tough one to justify cost versus benefit. But confidence-wise, if that can give you confidence, and if the balance point suits you as well, the feel's going to be different, then you could find value in it if you want to.
Very good. Andrew Hummant, how essential is the shaft puring process in your custom builds? Good question. I have watched many a tour truck video, and they never seem to do it in there when building clubs for the world's best.
So there is a tour van, an SST pure tour van that does go around some of the PGA Tour events. And we get a list when they're out there which weeks of how many players and who's done it. So, and there are quite a few players that do it, but they will get the shafts cured in the SST truck, and then they'll take them back to the, as I understand it, to their main tour van to have them built for them there. Ultimately, it's the icing on the cake. It's like balancing a car wheel. You wouldn't want a high performance car with the wheels unaligned. So you're just getting the performance from the shaft that you picked it for. So what it does is it reduces any extraneous twisting and bending, means more consistency of load, more consistency of shaft droop, therefore more consistency of strike and spin. So it's dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and it means that you're not getting any funky performance from a rogue shaft, for want of a better phrase, that would throw off the performance that's been picked for.
Very good. David Brett, evening David, nice to have you with us. Massive thank you to Simon for Friday. I have a 4-iron I'm not afraid of using now. The wedge shaft weight issues were very evident today. Can't wait for the new ones, I'm sure.
Great. So I hope Lily is watching as well.
Yeah. Shako, have 9-year-old son who is serious about golf and playing competitive golf. He currently plays a Ping Prodi G set, which is very good. Would a Titleist TSR driver make a significant difference?
So the one thing to really be careful of for juniors, especially young juniors like this, head weights, normal kind of head weights are too heavy for them. So we see it so often that whether it's US Kids or the Ping Prodigies or the junior specific clubs, the head weights are made lighter than full retail ones, full adult clubs. So the worst thing you could do is go too heavy, because that then throws technique off, and that can cause physical impingements. But then they're just battling the clubs. So be really careful of going into adult clubs too soon. The lighter head weights, whilst we know they all want the best, the latest branded clubs, sometimes actually just holding out a little bit longer until they've grown a little bit more, got a little bit stronger, can make a huge difference. But you can make a really negative difference by jumping into adult clubs too soon.
Papa B, hello young men, nice to have you with us. Can changing iron shaft models change the lie angle at impact? Thank you, and for everyone watching, let's share this channel with every golfer who we know. These boys are game savers.
He's always a lovely man.
Lovely man.
The answer is yes, it can. If you go to a softer profile or a softer flex, it can mean a little bit more droop of the shaft. So it can create the need to go slightly more upright in lie. It's marginal, it's not going to be huge, but technically, yes, there will be a slight effect.
Gary Satterfield is on the chat. Nice to have you with us, Gary, watching on my channel. Hey guys, how is it going? It's going super well, thanks, Gary. That was a great interview with David Howe the other day, Stu. Great guy, have a great show. Did a video with David Howe, 6-time DP World Tour winner and Ryder Cup player. Over on my channel, did an interview with him. That was a lot of fun.
Saw him today, actually.
Yes.
He's a great storyteller.
Yeah,
Amazing
very
storyteller.
good. Very
David,
good.
yeah.
Dean B Golf. Hi guys, Mizuno Pro 245 or the P790, which is more consistent and less likely to jump off the face?
790 is likely to be a little hotter. It has toned down a little bit over the years, so it's got more predictable. The Mizuno is less designed for just distance, but they're pretty similar nowadays. The Mizuno will feel softer, so I'd say it's more of a feel thing than a consistency thing. They're both going to be very similar performance-wise, but one's softer, one's harder.
If you're new to the show, we do this every Monday evening, 6 p.m. We're going to do a run-in all the way into Christmas, and we're doing a live show for 2 hours, Friday the 20th of December, in the studio. If you would like to come and join us, drop us an email, stuart@precisiongolf.co.uk, James or Simon at precisiongolf.co.uk to book your ticket. Bring a guest along, the more the merrier. We've probably got enough room for 50, 60, 70 people. You're going to be able to take your questions, maybe get involved, get on the mat, hit some shots, maybe a live lesson or two, and talk about the equipment maybe you've got in your bag as well. So do drop us an email. It'd be great to have you
Good
with
for you
us.
sign-ups already for that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Don Keek, good evening. Good evening, Don. Nice to have you with us. I have a problem in coming into my left side weight shift. Do you have a tip or drill? Yes, I do. So most golfers, and this is something that I've talked at great lengths in my channel, most of us have seen backswings and the perception of transferring weight, which is what Don is talking about. In a backswing, we've all thought about, as we move into our right side, we want to shift weight from the left foot to the right foot. Now that does happen, but there's an element of recentering that we see in the best players in the world, where the pelvis, as it gets to the top, actually starts to move back to the middle and arguably towards the target before they've even started completing their backswing. That is making them use their left foot in their downswing, so that when they pull on the golf club, they're actually creating a force in that direction, which is going away from the target as they're pulling the golf club towards the target. What you're talking about, Don, is moving weight from your right side to your left side in your downswing, which doesn't really happen to the best players in the world. They're really trying to rebound. They're really trying to push against the target so that it actually opens their hips up, so that they're creating force in the opposite direction to the golf club's moving in. So my advice to you would be to start to try to create pressure in your left foot by the time you reach the top of your backswing. So a great drill for you is to make a backswing, and as you make a backswing, step to the left. And as you step to the left, what you're then going to feel at the top of your backswing as you start to pull the club down is energy in your left leg to start to push up, which will open your hips up and start to make you rotate a bit more. So that stepping to the left in your backswing would be a great way to start to feel like you've got a little bit more energy in your left leg, so you can make a backswing where you swing back, you step left and swing through. So step left, swing back and swing through. And hopefully that'll give you a little bit more energy in that left leg and give you a little bit more angle of attack. It'll give you a bit more path from the inside as well. And if your grip's right, you never know, you might be able to hit yourself a little draw.
I was thinking, watching you do that, and I know it's something that we've done similar things as well, is how when you make that step, how stable that side becomes to turn around.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Very different
clever.
way of moving the pressures. Chris S, good evening. Good evening, Chris. Can you talk through difference in flex and feel between a Project X 6.0 and a 6.5?
Okay, yeah, so I mean the answer is you've got 5. Basically the 6.0, 6.5 is an index of what we call frequency, which is Project X rifle have always done their flexes through cycles per minute plotted against length to create a chart of flex. So you've got 50, 55, 60, 65. So essentially it's 5 cycles per minute stiffer, which is really very little considering looking at 200 and something as the oscillation speed of the shaft once you put a club head mass on the end. So difference in feel, well, you've got weight going up. So the 6.0 is 124 gram, the 6.5 is 128 gram. So it's going up by 4 or 5 grams. So it's going to feel a little heavy. You've got a bit more to pull against. That's automatically going to make it feel a bit more stout, but then it's stiffer as well, a little bit. So you've got the weight going up, the stoutness going up, and in with the Project X shaft, predominantly in this section, the kind of mid to upper mid section is where the rigidity really kicks in. And they are stable in the tip, but there's got to be a little bit of kick in the tip to get something back from the shaft. But you're going to notice mainly that one, there's more mass to hit against or to hit with, and 2, just a little bit tighter in the middle. If you go too far, it's just going to feel hard work, and there's very little back from the shaft. But if it's more suitable, then it's going to allow you to time it better, and actually might feel just a little bit more stable through impact.
The theme that we get from you guys and girls out there that asking the questions, I think, is always about stiffness, isn't it? And I think try to turn over this theory that regular stiff, extra stiff is the differentiator. We need to pull it out the sky and throw it in the bin, don't we? Because because the flex really isn't what. Because if it was just flex, we'd have like 3 shafts, wouldn't we, for a driver, and 3 shafts for an iron, and that would be it. And manufacturers wouldn't make all of these different profiles of shafts, would they? So, what is it about a flex in a shaft that really has an impact on a golf swing?
So, I mean, I think flex has been such a talked about part of the shaft because every shaft has a letter on it. So it's been the bit that, oh, well, that's a regular or a stiff or an X, so that must be making the difference. Flex on its own, if you go from a regular to a stiff, or say a 6.0 to a 6.5, is actually about a half a flex range in the Project X in the rifle scale. A whole flex range, 10 cycles, is about 2 to 5% of the bending of the shaft. On its own, it can't do anything major to affect performance. It doesn't work the toe around, and because the shaft loads in 3 dimensions. So it actually just, the softer you go, pops it underneath a little bit more. So technically you get a little bit more launch, a little bit more spin, a bit more flight. Ultimately it's a bit more feedback. So the flex, ultimately the flex is really a combination of the mass and the rigidity and the profile and so, but if you get the weight wrong, you can't deliver the head consistently anyway, and the rest is all just a complete waste. Anyway.
So what we're saying then really is that these flexes, if you took one shaft and you put, there's the regular, there's the stiff, there's the extra stiff, what you're actually going to see a bigger differential in is really the mass weight.
The mass progresses, and that's the bit that you're going to notice.
So it's not really, we've golfers out there have really thought about it in bendiness.
That old test, let's just lean on it and see how much it bends.
Everyone's thought about it in bendiness instead of what everybody needs to think about is weightness. It's not weight, but it's weight 100%, rather than bend. When you see regular, stiff is going to be heavier. That's really extra stiff. That's going to be even heavier. And at that point, I suppose, because the weight is going up, the profiling of the shaft can now be different.
They ramp up. And it is one that it's the bit that, say, over the years has been given as the golden egg of this is what gives you control. Absolutely not, because you could have the stiffest shaft in the world at 75 grams, and for some people there's just not enough to hit against. It's equal opposite forces. You've got to match energy in the handle with the inertia of the club, is the physics of it. And if that doesn't match, well, you're not in control of this bit, which means you're not in control of the ball flight. So flex is the flex and the bend profile and the way that the shaft loads and responds is the feel which allows the player to trust it. So some players like I've always played Mrs. Left. I've played a stiffer, firmer profile of shaft. I've got used to that. I trust it. If I change direction and feel the shaft move, I back out of it. And then there are other players that a stiff feeling shaft, they then feel like they've got to go after and lose their timing that way round. So you're feeding into what feel someone likes, and therefore confidence and trust to just move through. And then if you get the weight right, then you can deliver the head time and time again more consistently to give yourself the same shot.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because you just said I feel the shaft move. I think what everyone would immediately go to is, or what he means is bend, but not. You're not talking about that at all. You're talking about making a backswing, swinging an iron bar. It wouldn't feel like it's moving. If you took a piece of bamboo up there, it'd feel like it'd be moving around all over the place. That's really what you're talking about, and how your chemistry of your swing, your load profile. And I think this is the bit, every Monday night we stand here and we talk about, can you try this to that and this to that? We are 100% on with that, because that is really exciting and great to show you that. But I think the experience that the fitters have got here is that they can look at a golf swing and they can see how the person's loading it, and then choose from the ridiculous amounts of club shafts that are going to fit that profile of delivery angles, all of the TrackMan data. I think that's where, the education of this channel is as much about testing clubs, but our opportunity here to educate you guys on what if you're not going to come and get fitted by us, why not? But of course you're not living around the corner. But when you do go and get fitted, because everybody knows all of these equipment, this club, it's like understanding that actually when you ask the fitter a question, is that a bit more whippy, or is that a little bit more stout? Really the question is that one a bit heavier? Okay, that's a bit heavier. So that's my preferred feel, rather than I don't want a regular shaft. Because it's not about a regular shaft, because it's like 6 regular shafts could all be different weights, right?
Well, case in point, I play these Oban, the CT 115s. I swing a 6-iron at maybe not this evening after playing, but at around 90 miles an hour, which is stiff, verging on extra stiff if we were looking at club head speed wise. But I play a soft step stiff. It's kind of between a regular and a stiff. Why? Because it works. And the long drive guys use a very soft regular flex. Some players will use a much stiffer shaft than technically that their swing speed determines, but they control it, they trust it, they're confident with it, allows them to develop more speed with it. So there are so many bits that go into it. Ultimately, the better the club setup, the simpler it is to make contact, to make good contact. It's going to feel easy to make contact rather than having to fight it, or rather than having to back off of it. And that's when you're in the sweet spot. And then you'll probably find that shaft feels quite nice, no matter what bend profile or stiffness it is, because, look, I'm catching the middle of the club face, and look, it's gone where I want it to go. So,
I hope you haven't minded me sort of stepping in there and asking someone a few questions, because I'm not a massive techie with this equipment stuff, but so I kind of see it from like someone that's a slightly uneducated when it comes to equipment, and asking these questions. Obviously, being around you and the fitters, learned so much. But I think it's like those questions that people want to know more than like this. What's the like the what instigated it was, what's the 6.5 compared to the 6.0? Well, one's heavier, one's lighter. That's principally it, right? Anyway, sorry, I sort of took over there a little bit, but hopefully you found that insightful. So Charlie March, what's the difference between the KBS Tour, KBS Dollar Taper, and the KBS Tour V?
So KBS Tour is a tip responsive shaft. They've done a heat treatment onto the tip of the shaft. That means it doesn't need reinforcing, which gives a bit of kick through the tip, a little bit of a sort of, in theory, upper mid launch, but a kind of upper mid launch stable spin is what the design profile was. The regulars at 110, 115, stiffs 120, X 130. The Tour V is designed to flight the same, but at 10 grams lighter. So to achieve that, they stiffened the tip section up. And then the Dollar Taper is a different profile altogether. They're all upper mid balance point. Feel-wise, the Dollar Taper probably feels the most stout. In theory, is the lowest spin of the 3 shafts. They're really not that dissimilar. You tend to find if someone's, we fit a lot between the Tour V and the Dollar Taper. There's a lot of similarities, and if one suits, the other one's very close. But they allow you just to maneuver balance point away from the tip end of the shaft, keep some stability in the flight and the spin, and then it's just varying levels of responsiveness. But 3 very good shafts. Yeah, but they do overlap quite a bit as profiles.
Shane Delmo, hi guys, I need some irons with a bit of forgiveness, don't we all? But I don't like the strong lofts. If you weaken the lofts on something like the Mizuno Hot Metal Pro or the PXG Gen 7 XP, what results would you expect?
Well, the Hot Metal Pro, you're not going to weaken by much because the frame's quite firm. And something like the XP, you're starting from such a strong place on loft that you're not going to get very far with it because you can only really go loft, can only really adjust 2 degrees or so before you start to, one, see a bit of necking on the hosel, but two, you will affect bounce. So more forgiving you go, you tend to get a wider sole, you tend to get a bit more bounce. So if you weaken it off too much, you're getting a lot of that back edge. So unless you're steep onto it, you might find you struggle to get into the back of the ball particularly well. It is an issue that has been the case for a few years, forgiving heads and flight. Yeah, because forgiving heads, they go, oh, you must want to hit it miles. Down goes the loft. It is a kind of tricky combination. It's something that we've battled with the last few years of trying to get a really good balance of the two aspects. So yeah, you tend to have to go a slightly neater head shape. However, the heads now are better off centre than they've ever been. So you can actually get some quite forgiving profiles in the neater head shape, as long as you're comfortable seeing a slightly smaller head shape down there. But yeah, I mean, the two heads you described, very forgiving, but you probably won't get much loft on there.
Don Keek, have you heard of JP wedges? If so, what do you think?
JP, if they're the ones I think they are, and they're quite bejeweled. So certainly, I'd say if they are the one I think, I'm pretty certain they are. They're meant to be very good. We had a bit of a look at them, or in principle, look at would it be something we'd want to get in, I think a couple of years back. I look at interesting designs, very, very niche, very dear. And are they that much better than what's out there on the market? I'm not convinced, but they're an interesting product, but they are pretty dear.
Jasper from Good Golf Coaching Channel asks, question for Stuart, is quite a strong negative angle of attack a requisite for very good golf? Do any pros play with a shallow angle of attack? Well, first of all, angle of attack makes for a decent strike, but of course you get to a point where the angle of attack gets so strong that you actually take loft off the golf club. Understanding what shallow means is quite difficult for people, because you can have an angle of attack of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down and not take any divot. You could have someone hitting down at 1 degree and take a decent divot, because it's ultimately where the bottom of the circle is. If the bottom of the circle lies a long way below the top of the ground, let's say, you could have 1 degree down and you could have a lot of divot. And equally, if the bottom of your circle is elevated, you can be 8 down and not take any divot. So depending on what your interpretation of shallow is, whether you think it's about taking a divot, whether you think it's about angle of attack, whether you think it's about from the inside, they are 3 very different orientations of the golf swing. One thing that is consistent is that you need some sort of angle of attack. Anything between 1 down and 5 down is a nice range, depending on your club speed. Going more than 5 down is ridiculous. Going less than 1 down, you're going to battle with contact and you're going to leave yourself open to being a bit more with a flyer lie. So I would hunt out some D-plane videos. That's really insightful. That will give you some understanding on how the 3-dimension of impact works, and go from there. But if you're looking at just a pure angle of attack, hang out between 1 and 5 and you'll be in a good place. But don't go searching for huge amounts of angle of attack. As far as tour players, there's tour players that have got 1 degree down and there's tour players that have got 7 degrees down. Matt Fitzpatrick, huge hitter downer of a golf ball, big strong angle of attack. But you know, horses for courses, has lots of loft on irons, lots of loft on driver. That's changed. He added more speed. And there's guys, as I say, that are light. Ian Poulter's quite light on the angle of attack side of things. It goes a lot in with the matrix of their swing, the loft angle, where it's pointing, what sort of shape they want to see. So it is not one size fits all. It's to do with speed, it's to do with delivery, musculature, where they're moving. So there are golfers out there that play great golf with very light angle of attack, and golfers out there play great golf with very strong angle of attack. Don't be sold that you absolutely have to have the perfect angle of attack to be the great golfer. Hopefully that helps. Daniel Winterbottom. No, I've gone too far. It's jumped me through. Excuse me. Shako, thanks for the answer on the junior golf clubs before. I am aware of the weight issues on adult club heads. This is why I was specifically referring to the TSR1 range, which is a lighter head weight.
Oh, so I heard TSR2. I mean, the one is lighter. So potentially for that, it's higher launch, higher spin. So actually, yeah, potentially for that would be one of the few models that could potentially work. Yeah.
Very good. I'm not gonna have a go at pronouncing your first name, but Mr. or Mrs. Saws, what's a similar Acra shaft to the Ping Tour Chrome 2.0 regular?
So they're kind of upper mid balance, fairly stable. I would say, let me think, Acra wise. It would be. It's higher grade, the RPG HBP range. Now that is phasing out, but that's got a bit of responsiveness in the tip, upper mid balance, not too harsh in terms of profile, in terms of kind of feel wise. But that would be very, very similar in terms of balance point, but pretty high grade materials, not a cheap shaft.
Ian Linfoot. What is Ian Fraser up to? Are you now able to get him on your channel as a guest?
I would say, well, Ian is still currently my take on it, and look, we'll see Ian in January, I'm sure, when we're out at the trade show, is that he is still, whilst not necessarily full-time at Club Champion at the moment, we are unlikely to get hold of him before he finishes with them the end of January. He's stated he's working with them through the product launches, but we'll certainly be, we know him well. We'll be interested to see what he's up to and to see if we can get something going, get something on the channel with him as well. He's great font of knowledge. We did the Instagram live during lockdown, so we know he's open to it. So we'll have to watch this space.
For those of you not aware, Ian Fraser is Club Champion in the US. Recently announced that he's going to be leaving them. He's helping them with their YouTube channel for the time being. And as I say, he's a friend of yourselves and James. So yeah, it'd be nice to get him on at some point. Yeah, really good guy. Again, keeps on jumping down the bottom. My apologies. Chung and Yap. Simon is always checking swing weight whenever he changes a club shaft. What is so important to maintain a consistent swing weight, which is something not many fitters do?
So swing weight kind of is resultant on what the components are, but when we're switching out models, what I don't want to do is have a massive jump. So we're trying to change as much as we can, one component part of the club at a time, so you know that is the bit that has had a positive or negative effect. And so this swing weight is a combination of dead weight, club length, balance point, the shaft, head weight. So it's a static balance of the club, and so you're either looking to change it a lot from where someone was if we know it was incorrect, or we know we're close with it and we're trying to manage and make sure that we're making fine adjustments to it. That once we get the shaft right and the base spec, we're then just dialing in the fine bits. But it's important to know that you're not making a bigger change than you want to. We're just trying to effectively take one component part of the club, make a change there, good or a bad change, and then move it on from there. So it's just making sure that we're not over-changing too many bits at one time.
Taps TV says, hi guys. That is a good name, isn't it? Taps TV. Lee Dietrich, Taps TV says, hi guys. Hi Taps TV, nice to have you with us. Lee Dietrich, what made you discover the handle height motion in the swing through the impact zone? Interesting question, Lee. I have spent countless hours trying to be good at this game. I've spent countless hours with a TrackMan. Countless hours with a TrackMan, and I've not been coached formally by anyone for 20 years probably. And so I've been on my own personal journey and spent a lot of time with the TrackMan unit and a lot of coaching. And really, it's just been a voyage of discovery. And I've been where I am as a coach probably for the last 15 years. and I've never really taken to any sort of medium to share it. And so I've been on this page for quite a while, and I'm now putting it out there, and it's shocking a few people along the way. But really, the discovery was just about understanding the linkage and understanding that where the handle's going is completely in the opposite direction in every direction during the swing to the head. So the handle moves forwards, the head moves back. The handle moves up, the head moves down. It's very, very clear, but putting that across in a workable function to someone that's standing on the mat is quite has taken some time. So yeah, it's been a fascinating journey. It's been 35 years of 40 years of playing the game, and no, not maybe that long, 35 years of playing the game. You know yourself with doing what you do. The nuances of fitting, doing it day in day out compared to doing it every now and then, or popping on a YouTube channel and watching some golf instruction. I mean, that's one thing, but then that's the thing that's quite interesting, and I'm sure you appreciate it. That when you get someone some knowledge in the bay and they talk about equipment, it's great, but actually them being able to like flip roles, and if they were to then go into a fitting and fit someone, wouldn't know where to start. How you move through a fitting is the expertise, and how you pitch your information. Same with coaching. It's getting someone to do something that you clearly want them to do, but how you articulate it is difficult.
That's
to
where you've got
communication.
it much harder than I do. So I have all this stuff that I can, if I see a move going a certain way or a club getting stuck behind, I can just give them a lighter club and it'll move easier. You've got to try and get them to make the movement. I think that's so much harder than what I did, because you've got, I often see quite rightly exasperation on your face, like, what do I need to feel here? Whenever we do sessions, because I'm trying to work out in my own head what I've got to feel to make a move. You've got to work out how I interpret messaging and how I interpret feels to get that message across and to get me to put the club in the right place in the swing or move the right way. I think that's so much harder from a coaching point of view, because you can't just change your head and change the loft and, oh, look, it's gone higher. I think the skill in putting those, communicating, is because we've all got different languages for how we sense something.
Yeah,
it's so tough.
Massively in golf swings as well, because everyone's got their own ideas because they've read
Well,
some
we all look like Adam Scott,
right?
until you put the camera on us.
Exactly. So Casper, do you believe that bigger grip like Jumbo Max would improve club head stability? Absolutely not for me. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
Some players it will. For me, it doesn't. Anyone who, I think the generalisation would be, anyone who has a little bit of that kind of rotation. I use my hands to square the face a little bit. Then, if that requires you to get it into the fingers because you've got to be able to manoeuvre the club, and if you're more of a traditional kind of wrist cock player, then absolutely not. Because you're going to lose the ability to manipulate and move the club and free it up. If you're someone who's more body rotation oriented, and I'm going to say that I hate the term release, but your squaring of the club face comes through body turn, you will be able to cope with a bigger grip, and a bigger grip might well stabilize the face a little bit more. But it is very much you're in one. What we're starting to see now, we're using the bigger grips a little bit more and putting with the fittings a little bit more with the air guns. Is you're in one camp or the other. In between, there are very few who are in between who could kind of use it. You either can or you can't.
Yeah, for sure. MY, Simon, what is your experience with Wilson forged irons versus Srixon forging? I have had 3 sets of Wilsons and they seem to wear a lot faster.
In that respect, a bit of it will depend on where you practice, what kind of turf. I mean, I couldn't. That side, actually, in some respects, is harder for me to comment on because we only see the performance of them in the bay. We do have the Wilson heads in. They've tended to have a slightly more cambered sole. Head weights, Wilson are heavier. That's the one thing. My one frustration with Wilson as a brand and their irons is their head weights are pretty heavy, which means that we aren't tall anymore. I'm just about with that. I'm 6 foot. You're just over 6 foot. We're bang average now height-wise for golfers coming through, and so and I will call out some of the Japanese, like Mira. Some of their heads are just too heavy for modern day players. If you're going a bit longer than standard, they come out D8. if you're going quarter, half-inch longer than the standard. So I wish brands would get the head weights, if they're using, if let's say Verticom's Western model, make them head weights that facilitate lengths that we can use without the head weights getting silly. And Wilson are guilty of that. Miura are guilty of that. They're all well-made products, but they're not actually. You could argue some elements aren't fit for purpose, which is a strong statement.
Yeah,
but
interesting. Paul M, evening gents, was fitted for a QI10 Max driver recently, but finding it very spinny on the course. Fairways irregular, jumped up to 80%, but I've lost 25 yards from TSR. Would the core QI10 be worth a try?
Possibly. So Max, anytime you go more forgiving, generally more weight back means a little less ball speed, a little bit more spin, generally speaking. If your strike point with the QI10s and the Stealths before in particular, if your miss is in the heel side, they aren't as good as other brands out the heel side from a strike point of view. I think that's been whether it's the face construction, the last few models out the heel, TaylorMade's have been pretty poor. Out the toe, very good. The Titleists are good out the heel. So that could be part of it. But in principle, yeah, the core model will be a bit lower spin. You shouldn't be giving up 25 yards, 100%.
Chong and Yap, also, after researching on swing weight, I can appreciate the importance of maintaining similar swing weight, but now would swing weight affect moment of inertia, smash factor, and thus strike point and distance? Is heavier swing weight equals higher moment of inertia?
No, don't overthink it. So there are people who say, oh, heavier head means it's going to go for, all else being equal, it's going to go further. Yes, but all else won't stay equal. You use swing weight to dial in consistency of contact and timing, the ability again to deliver the club head in control. If you're in control, you're going to be more stable. You're going to put more energy into the ball, and rather than if you're using your small muscles to square it up, you're using a few % of your muscle mass. If you're stable and you're getting into the back of the ball that way, everything's grounded. You're stable, and you can put all your energy into the back of the ball. Pushing swing weight or head weight heavier to try and achieve 1 or 2 more yards is lunacy, because you're going to lose control and strike. So from a physics point of view, yes, you could argue a theory on that, but the problem is that all else won't stay equal. You will not be able to control the club the same way. So basically, don't over theorize that. If it's working, don't mess about with it. If it's not working, try something else. But yeah, you're to affect forgiveness on the head by making the head a little heavier. You've got to go so far with it that it's going to throw off your performance before you get a benefit.
Tony, by the way, evening gents, nice to have you with us, Tony. Can you film a putter fitting, please? I could be wrong, but I don't think I've seen that on the channel. Very much overlooked in my view by handicapped golfers, and it's about half the game. Well, Tony, there is a putter fitting on there, and by the way, it's me.
Oh, very good. I don't like you did that. Yeah, very good.
So I've been waiting to do that. Like the whole time.
You should have said incidentally, which is his other name.
That's
Mr. Incidentally.
So Tony, there is a putter fitting on there. It's one of our earliest videos, and it was myself being fitted by Mike Clark, our ex-fitter here. So go check that out. And I agree. Yeah. Trouble with that is that it's up in the studio, so it's quite tricky to film it because all of the cameras are down here. So it just makes it a bit tricky for that one. But we'll maybe try and find a way of doing that going forwards. Charlie March, any other players' cavity heads that promote launch and spin? Something to T100. I like hitting little knockdown shots and find it easier when I've got plenty of spin and launch in the bank.
So a couple in particular, Ping I230 in the retro loft spec. That's a good head. Cobra, the King Tour. They're an overlooked head, an oft overlooked head. Actually, Callaway's Apex Pro actually they're not as hot as previous models. It's actually where they've lost out a little bit in terms of sales, but they keep a bit of launch and a little bit of spin. So those are good options.
Gary Satterfield, hey Stu, since I'm behaving, he never behaves, this man. Can you please ask Simon if he has ever seen Eric Clapton live?
I have. I've been very fortunate to.
Have you?
Yeah, my
I don't know
wife
why is he asking if you've seen Eric Clapton live?
I don't know, but he's a very cultured man. He likes them. Yeah, my wife used to work in the music industry with Eric's manager, so I've been very fortunate to see Mr. Clapton at the Albert Hall a couple of times, and Cream.
And you are quite a
big Clapton fan.
But you're quite a good guitar player as well, aren't you?
Used to be.
Still practices every
I
Sunday.
don't play enough. I don't play enough. But yeah.
It's a strum.
Yeah, I'm definitely a strummer now. That's for sure. Yeah.
Sings in the bath.
I can't play. I don't play enough. My fingers can't hack it anymore.
Really?
So yeah, I do need to play more. Yeah.
Got it. Do other people around feel like you should play more? Do they think?
I believe so.
Do they?
I believe so. But I'd like to have. We need to get rid of the Victoria's old clothes at the spare room so I can turn it into a music room. So soundproof it and then So
Friday the 20th, you're going to bring the guitar.
No,
and you're going to play it. You're going to play it.
I do it purely for personal pleasure. This is not for
Friday the 20th. If you'd just like to, comment in the box below whether you would like him to bring his guitar in on the 20th and play a song, and if you do want him to bring it in, let us know what song you'd like him to play.
That's harsh.
Well, Slade. Yeah. Yeah, Phil jumping around here, love it.
That's gone very badly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. See, he there must be some underlying knowledge there.
You put him up to that.
I didn't. Doug asks, evening gents, question for Simon. Do you know what the head weight difference would be between a Ping G400 and the Wilson Dynapower Carbon? If you don't know, can you find out?
We'll try and find out. Yeah, I mean, the Ping have always been on the stronger side with it. I'm assuming talking about drivers. They've always been on the stronger side with the wood weights, particularly drivers. So generally speaking, most are between 190 and 200 grams. They tend to sit in the 195 to 200 grams as standard. Yeah, we'll try and find out the Wilson head weight for you.
It's going to get really loose on the 20th. I've got a feeling.
Might need to be to get me playing the guitar.
I'm going to get a cab in, and I think I'm going to get right on it. That you don't want. Casper.
Start jumping in swimming pools fully clothed if you're not careful.
Oh dear, don't. Casper asks, could Stuart make a test with different grip sizes to see if there is difference? As a grip comes first, this seems important. We are fitted for shafts and club heads, but how about grip? Well, I think that is a video for you guys, not for me. It's a good video for you guys. So I think that will be something that you can do.
I think there's a dual effect. I think depending on how someone grips it, it's actually might go in certain bits of the hand.
100%, yeah.
But when we're starting a fit, we will look at what size grips are they playing, what size glove do they wear, that can have an effect. If grip's too small, you're going to hang on tight to it and you lose fluidity. Yeah.
Now I've got to go back to here because it jumps down. Daniel Winterbottom. Hi, gents. Any tips on not casting coming in too steep and left? Since Stuart's video on grip change strikes much better instead of a cut, much straighter or left, but need to soften the path. Mine is extreme out to in. So wonderful. So casting is ultimately about you trying to get the club face back to straight. Throwing the club head away here makes it overtake you through strike, which makes the face obviously then point more to the left. But in the true fashion of the circle, understanding that the circle of the golf swing is in to in, the more you cast the club head, the more you'll meet it on this part of the arc, which is pointing the face to the left. It will mean your angle of attack has disappeared and you'll start to hit some left shots. But now all of a sudden, because your grip's in a good place, you're all of a sudden going to start to feel like you're going to hit pull draws. Instead of thinking about trying to change your cast, just put the ball back in your stance and start hitting some shots from back of centre. I actually suggested this to someone else last week on another issue. If you put the ball back in your stance, what you'll start to feel is a little bit more downstrike. And when you start to feel a bit more downstrike and you start to see the ball start right and draw, your desire to start to feel like you cast it will disappear. So put the ball back first, keep the grip, and what that ball back will start to do is get it starting right and drawing. And then once you start to feel comfortable with that, loosen off your grip pressure a little bit more, and the thing will you'll start to spool up discs, and the engine will start to work a little bit better with your levers because the face is better orientated. That's a much easier way to go than trying to fix a cast, because a cast is coming from too much pressure on the thumb, pushing out that way, and your right arm lengthening. So that's quite a tricky thing to change. Ball position's easy. That will start to change your ball flight. Change your ball flight will then start to change your mechanics a bit more. That's a much easier way to go to fix your cast. Hopefully that helps. Let's go back. We've got lots of questions, which is great to see. So many of you on. Let's go back up there. Tony, by the way, also, if a customer like his current shafts, or if a customer likes his current shafts and they're a good fit, example, steel fibers for me, could you reuse them in new heads that might suit the player better, or do the shafts have to be new?
No, it can. The only thing that might restrict reusing and switching heads over is just the bore depth, so how far the shaft goes into the head. Because if there's a difference between the heads that you're taking off and putting on, then the club could come out shorter or longer. Longer's fine, you can just trim it back down. But shorter, I think it's in some of the Titleist heads have a deeper bore than some other brands. Then that creates a bit of a difficulty. But yeah, there's in principle there's no harm in reusing shafts. They're all taken off responsively. You're heated up and pressed off, so that way you're just heating the hosel up to the point where the glue melts, and then you're using a hydraulic press to take them off. So no issue reusing shaft.
So what you're telling me, Simon, is you don't go out the back and you just heat them off and you sort of do this. No.
They just, what you do, you stand up and twist it.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah. Oh, brilliant. I used to do that in the back of the shop. No, I've never been in the back of the shop.
The foot clamp.
Yeah, foot clamp, yeah. Let's go.
It was actually a method of moving some of the Odyssey putters in the past. You stand on it, because the neck was that soft that you could move it. On the tour vans, they used to do that.
Oh, gosh. There is over 100 of you watching this evening, which is a fantastic viewership. Give us a like. Yeah, give us a like. There's only 4 of you that have liked it and 8 of you on my channel. Give us a thumbs up. It does help generate a bit more for the algorithm for us, so that would be really appreciated.
Great
Alan,
to have you all on.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan Hughes, do you see a correlation between iron shaft profile and woods? I was fit for Nippon 1150 GH Tour X by Precision. Is there an obvious driver and forward shaft to try?
The answer is it doesn't necessarily work that way. From a weight and a balance point, that can often correlate, but the driver can be quite, so my irons are a relatively upper mid balance and responsive tip, but then I play a tip stiff, tip heavy driver shaft. So we do move them differently, so you might have different requirements from the top bit of the bag to the irons. So it doesn't always track through. Probably 50% of the time the balance point carries through. A lot of players need a less tip heavy shaft in the driver to help square it up. So bend profile in theory should track fairly well, but as we discussed earlier, it doesn't. That's not the be all and end all. Being able to strike it cleanly and square it up is more important. So the weighting is the most important part. I'm
deeply saddened by the fact that nobody's commented about you playing your guitar. Don't let me down, folks. Come on, I want to see a few of you say he needs to bring his guitar on the 20th. Richard Skinner.
I can bring it, just might not play it.
Richard Skinner, incredible channel. Love your work. Your content is exceptional. Appreciate your ongoing commitment to enlightening all of us. You're welcome, Richard. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Thank you for that. I mean, that makes, it's those comments that make it so worthwhile doing, and we're really grateful for. So thank you. Yeah.
David Smith, hi guys. I play a Ping 430 10.5 Vanquish 5 SR fitted by Precision Golf. Would it be worth changing the head to the Ping 430 10K?
Not necessarily. It's an interesting one. I actually had an email from someone about this exact point earlier on, where they had a 430 and then the 10K came out a couple of months later. The 10K, so 10K is something that a lot of the other brands are talking about, but not necessarily putting that out there, because actually the more forgiving you go, you're putting lots of weight at the back of the head to make it stable off center, but you make it a bit slower and you make it a bit spinnier. And actually for some players, the further you put weight away from the face, it actually gears it open. So for me, a back weighted head, a really forgiving head, I miss right. and then I've got to flip the toe back on and square it up. And we're seeing that more and more and more. So the answer is, I mean, definitely maybe. It's worth testing, but you might find it performs worse and is less forgiving than the less forgiving model, if that makes sense.
Very good. Doug asked one for Stu. How does someone with a shortish backswing get rid of or lessen a downward strike on a driver? Well, Doug, I filmed a video today that is going to be coming out tomorrow to answer all of those questions. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Dean B. Golf. Stu, is there a way to stop lifting the hands too high in the backswing? More hip rotation, and also get yourself a TheraBand, push it off your chest and feel that pressure on the handle on the backswing. I did a video on both of those. Go check those out. I've got 2 TheraBands wrapped around my neck and I'm looking stupidly into the camera.
Wife there as well?
No, she wasn't there on that one.
Gary Satterfield must have been there.
Oh
on that
yeah,
one,
well Gary said, absolutely bring his guitar. Are you kidding me? And also the reason why he asked about the Eric Clapton was someone asked about Dream 4 balls, and you had Eric Clapton in it. So very good memories.
Well, he's more of a fisherman than a golfer, so
yeah,
don't think he's into his golf.
Yeah, shame. Charlie,
good memory on that one.
Yeah, very good memory, very good. Don Keek, hi guys, do you use a stand bag? If so, how do you get 14 clubs in there? I use a 5-way divider and find that my clubs get stuck, so I walk with no more than 10. Well, I use one of those, when I do play, one of those pencil bags. The Titleist and Ping all do the smaller one. I get full 14 in there.
So the one thing that might be the issue is grip size. So I use a stand bag. We're going to be potentially getting some. James doesn't know this yet. I'm going to talk to him about it. There's potentially some bags. There's potential to get some really good leather stand bags logoed up and done that we're looking into now. Which that's knackered, so I need a new one anyway. But yeah, if you're using a bigger grip size, that could be what's stopping the clubs getting in.
Very good. Charlie March, opinion on lab putters. Is this the part of the demise of traditional putters? Could it be similar to introduction of the carbon drivers, Pro V1? Question mark.
No, not. It's not because it's not a cure. It's not just better. It's not one of the things where, like a Pro V1, it created much more ball speed, lower spin, was just longer off the tee than anything else because of the way it was put together. Lab putters, if you're someone who tends, if you're a right-hander who misses right, leaves the face open, or a left-hander that misses left, that's where they're really good because they're taking out any gearing around the shaft and they make it very easy to square the face up. If you're like me and you over-rotate it, they are the devil's work because there's nothing to regulate that face with. So they tend to be very good for holing out. They tend to be a little more challenging on longer putts or slower greens is what we've tended to see so far. But yeah, for certain players, brilliant, but they are not a cure-all.
Very good, very good.
But every other brand's copying them, with the torque balance. We're going to see ones launched, or several more launched. I won't name names because I can't technically. I think there are embargoes in place, so I can't technically say who's doing it. But I've seen 3 or 4 different brands who are coming out with something similar because they have shaken it up a little bit for sure.
We've got a lot of questions. Got 7 minutes.
Go quick fire,
right, let's do it. Let's do this.
Shut up and answer. I think that was in code.
Alan Hughes. Other than shaft weight, does the shaft profile matter for wedges if you're only playing partial shots?
Feel. It's going to affect feel more than anything else.
Alistair Cuthbertson, great chat about weight versus stiffness, or to use the correct technical term, bendiness. Thank you, Alistair. Charlie March, did you see Jimmy Bollard's recent What's in the Bag? Fascinating insight from a very good amateur. He thinks most amateurs play with 2 heavy clubs. Of course, he's well educated to do that. He plays Nippon Neo shafts.
Yeah, the Neos are in at 850 or 950. He's actually not a million miles. I think historically golfers have used 2 heavy clubs. Now, actually, we're seeing quite a lot the other way. But I haven't actually watched that What's in the Bag yet. But he does play quite a light shaft weight in his irons. That I do know.
Ian Linfoot, if my current driver MOI is 5,000, should I upgrade?
Possibly. It's worth a test with where the drivers. Wait until the new are all out, kind of early mid-Feb, because there's some good ones coming. But yeah, definitely worth the check.
Aidan has asked us to hit a ZX7V Pro 243 at gaming speed and see what the difference is. Aidan, we'll do that next week. Check back in, but that would be we'll happily do that. But as we're right at the end of the show, we'll save that one for next week if that's okay. Golf Nerd 3. Hi Simon, currently playing the graphite designed CQ6S in 3-wood. Feels like I have to hold back. If I swing above 85%, it feels unstable and I end up over manipulating. Would tipping it 0.25 or 0.5 of an inch help?
No, won't help at all, because you're having to hold back because of the weight, not the flex side of things. So tipping it a bit will just mean that it goes offline with about 100 revs less spin.
Chris S. hit the Mizuno 241 the other day and was really impressed. Can you compare it to the Callaway CB? We'll do that next week. Come back in and fire over that same question. We'll do that for you. Chris Byrne, putting question. I've seen an Odyssey aid to putter fitting, which basically states eyes over the ball equates to face balanced putter, and further away from the ball equates to more toe hang.
I think they're trying to generalise. I mean, essentially, the more your eyes are over the ball, in principle, the more upright the shaft's going to be, and therefore it's no putting stroke is straight, or should be straight back, straight through, but it's more along those lines. So you're using less rotation. The more inside the line you are, the more of an arc, therefore toe hang. As a principle, yes, but I've seen the complete flip work as well. So again, it's a good start point.
Andy Brown, hi guys. Definitely need the guitar on the 20th. Good to hear that.
Oh, bring it along yourself.
Playing anything by Pink Floyd. Okay. Maybe Money or Wish You Were Here. Chris Byrne, I don't agree.
I think Wish You Were Here is easier, I think.
Chris Byrne goes on to say, I don't agree as I'm an eye over the ball player when putting and I play a Wilson 8802 toe hang putter to great effect. Any thoughts? Well, we've just sort of shared.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not, as much as you are a one-off, Mr. Byrne. You aren't unique in that respect. No, Chris is he's a great bloke, and he's joined us in Greece previously as well. But yeah, it can't be a one-size-fits-all. But I think what they're doing is providing a very good base point to start from.
Gary Satterfield, absolutely bring a guitar. Are you kidding me? I think I said that anyway. Mark Rowley, hello fellas. Stuart, any tips on setup ball position? Extremely important for consistency, but overlooked, methinks. Go check out a video I did. It says Tour Pros all do this. It's a picture of Brooks Koepka on the thumbnail. That covers all of that. Woody Caldy, hello. Terry Woodcock from the US. Just wanted to say thank you again for the content you put out. And Terry, you've just sent me $10. That is really, really kind of you. Thank you so much. That is really generous of you. Doug, definitely bring the guitar and hit some shots in the bay with it on his back.
There's no chance of doing that with that
one. Dean B says, Johnny be good, Simon play it, and Stuart sing it. There's a Christmas tree. Oh my
You heard him
God.
sing.
Huh? I can't sing.
Dulcet tones.
Yeah, well, I've done a bit of karaoke.
Bit of gargling.
But that's yeah.
They will do.
For those of you that didn't hear that, James just said the rats threw themselves on the traps. That's unbelievable banter. Daniel Winterbottom, we've got 4 questions left. Daniel Winterbottom, thanks for your help. Stuart, I may have used the wrong terminology of casting. My swing goes back on plane and then like a snatch. So snatch, club is higher and way outside the line, then it's just steep. Yeah, still try that ball position back. Mike T, all good with a 45-inch driver.
Good stuff.
John Kelly, brilliant stuff, lads. Great stuff. Thank you so much, John. Daniel Winterbottom, I think Simon should play something in drop A or play a 7-string guitar.
7-string. Hard to find a 7-string guitar. Mine certainly isn't. So.
Michael Crowley, hi. I got custom fitted for AI 300 irons with the Mitsubishi 80 gram regular flex, swing speed with 7 iron at 82 miles an hour, carry it 150 yards. Clubs are not performing to my expecting.
Then wherever you were fitted, go back to them, and you assume you were fitted. Then yeah, go back to them and say, like, yeah, it's. And we would also say the same to anyone in here. It's not an exact science, but you must let the place know that you got them from, that you're not happy with them, because if you don't, you're not giving them a chance to make things work for you. You know, it's not regular, but we do have people we have to get back in to double check things over. It could be a really small tweak that makes them work. So from the other side of the line, it's not actually fair on the retailer to not tell them, because you're not giving them the chance, the opportunity to work with you on it. And I think that's a really, really key thing.
Well, we've managed to get through all the questions. We've cracked on through. Friday the 20th of December, Simon is going to be live in the studio playing his guitar. James is going to be backing group. I'm going to be on drums. And who knows what Mark will be up to, but I'm sure he'll be getting involved.
Karaoke.
He loves a bit of karaoke, does Mark. We'll have the words up on there, and I guarantee you.
A bit of ska.
Yeah, he'll just do a full acoustic set. But on a serious note, live in the studio, if you would like to come and join us, drop us an email, stuart@precisiongolf.co.uk.
Play the guitar in front of anyone live for years.
We would love to have you along. We're going to do live, take all your live questions. We'll also be streaming it live to you guys out there as well that can't be with us. We've also got Costa Navarino, our Team Challenge Trophy that's going on May next year, the 6th to the 10th, I believe. 4 teams, myself, Roger Chapman,
Lewis
Sparrow, and me.
Go on.
Is that right?
Henny.
And Henny, of course. And Henny's all as well. So get yourself down and drop me an email, stuart@precisiongolf.co.uk. I should know this stuff, but it's, I'm just not that good. I'm just not good at this. But anyway.
Just too much going on.
Too much going on. But listen, it's been a great evening. These Monday Night Lives are really starting to kick on now. And please share this Monday night with all your friends, because it'd be great to have people coming in and asking their questions about anything that sets them off about wanting to know about custom fitting or golf coaching. We all love this game, and we all want to be well informed and go out and spend our pastime with a bigger smile on our face. I think that's ultimately what we're after. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back next week, 6 p.m. From Simon and I, thanks so much for joining us. You have a great week. We'll see you next week.